Andrew Yang recently released his healthcare proposal, and a lot of people have noticed that it is pretty different in some fundamental ways from his past comments about healthcare. We're gonna go through his history in just a little bit, but before we get to that, he was just on ABC and he faced some hard questioning about the difference between his past rhetoric on healthcare and his current plan.
I'm a little bit confused about where you stand. First, I want to play clips from 2 of your ads where you talk about healthcare.
We need to move towards a Medicare for all system where every American has access to quality and affordable services.
His ideas are a blueprint for a new way forward. A healthcare system with Medicare for all.
But I've looked at your healthcare plan. In fact, I've got it right here. And this plan does not call for Medicare for all. In fact, it doesn't even have a public option. So why the dissonance here?
We need to move towards universal health care that's high quality and nearly cost-free for Americans around the country. But reality is we have millions of Americans who are on private insurance right now, and taking those plans away from them very quickly would be untenable for many, many Americans. To me, the goal of the government has to be to demonstrate that we can outcompete private plans and then push them out of the market over time.
So we have a little bit more on that in just a little bit, but it was pretty immediately apparent when he released his plan. I understand he's releasing his plan months after other candidates have, and after we've had whole news cycles, weeks of news about some of the candidates in the Democratic primary backing off of their past promises to do Medicare for all or to do it along a certain timeline. And he has talked a lot actually. So in that, they showed a few of his ads. I checked to see if he had specifically tweeted anything about Medicare for all. And there's a lot, so we just got a couple, so we can bring this up. He says we need to provide high quality healthcare to all Americans, and a Medicare for all system is the most efficient way to accomplish that in July. He says people are always asking, where are you going to get the money for healthcare, which is completely incorrect. We're spending twice as much, and you can see there in that tweet, Medicare for all will get a massive burden off of families and businesses. That was in May. August of the previous year, 70% of Americans are now for Medicare for all. Let's make healthcare a right of citizenship once and for all. Which I love, but it is pretty far from, well, we need to eventually get there by outcompeting the government plans and then just naturally forcing them out because they can't compete. That's not even like a 4-year rollout period. That's, hey, maybe it happens someday.
Yeah, so I'm known for liking outsiders. It's true, I do. I think that they have interesting new ideas like Andrew Yang does. I've mentioned Democracy Dollars dozens, maybe hundreds of times, and how it's innovative and wonderful, and that Andrew Yang has a lot of great ideas in a lot of different directions. I don't agree with all of them, but I think it's great that he's got those and it's different. And I think the current insider system sucks. And then here we have a snarky reporter from mainstream media, Jonathan Karl, being snarky to Andrew Yang. So if I'm going to follow form, I will tell you Yang is right and Karl is wrong. Except I'm not gonna do that because facts matter. And Karl is right and Yang is wrong. That's just the reality of it. And so if all we cared about was our political perspective, in this case outsiders, I would just be biased and blindly tell you that Andrew Yang is right, but he isn't. Karl is right, the plan does not have Medicare for all, and Andrew Yang did support Medicare for all. In fact, he said it several times on the Young Turks. So I think this is a disastrous step for him, and I think that they've spent too much time in politics. I've seen polling that shows now that universal health care polls better than Medicare for all. So now all of a sudden Andrew's talking about universal health care and backing away from Medicare for all. Oh, don't do that, don't do that. And so that's not why you were interesting. That's not why people were excited about you.
Yeah.
There's a Yang gang, there's no Biden gang. There's no Biden gang because he does the same polling and goes with focus groups and the donors and all that stuff. That's, wow, so this is a really bad turn I wish he hadn't taken.
Yeah, and look, maybe he'll come back on the Young Turks and he can talk about it. Yeah, and look, I looked to see if since yesterday, if he had talked at all about this. I couldn't see any sort of clarification or anything like that. And I understand for some people who are supporters of his, he left like enough of a, well, I care about the spirit of Medicare for all and someday we're gonna get there, that you can hypothetically say he's not backing off. But I mean, you've been around for this primary, like when Elizabeth Warren started changing some of what she was saying about the timeline. That was a huge issue. Buttigieg, like how much did we go over his past tweets about Medicare for all, and now his current plan isn't the same. And Buttigieg's plan is more Medicare for all than Yang's plan as of right now. So although I like Yang, I've interviewed Yang. He seems like a really nice guy. I love that he's in the race. He does have a lot of good ideas. We're not going to pretend that this is a good one. It's not at all. It is, as far as I can tell right now, and there are details about cost cutting. You can look at his plan, it does have some good stuff, but a lot of it is in those other plans which also get to Medicare for all. It appears to be basically the most conservative healthcare plan that has been offered in the Democratic primary.
Yeah.
And if you're gonna be last, you're supposed to be first or best or whatever, but he's last and not best, not by a long shot. Not in this.
Yeah, I don't know what's happening in these presidential candidates. Where Tulsi comes in as a progressive, winds up as the most centrist or conservative candidate. What the hell happened there, right? And now Andrew Yang comes in as the biggest outsider, anti-establishment guy for Medicare for all throughout. Now he has the most conservative plan on healthcare. That doesn't make any sense at all. Stop listening to pollsters and consultants, okay? Okay, that's my guess. I don't know what happened internally, but look, there's a second part of this interview and it doesn't get any better. Let's watch.
Your ad is explicit. Your ad says Medicare for all. Your plan is not Medicare for all. It's not even Medicare for some, because in your plan there's not even a public option.
Our plan is to expand a universal healthcare system to all Americans. Medicare for all is not the name of a bill. Medicare for all is universal healthcare for all Americans.
But Medicare for all is Medicare for all, right? I mean,
well, our healthcare plan would be based on Medicare and expanding it over time.
And just to clarify, Medicare for all is in Bernie's, it's in the title for Bernie's bill. It is expanding Medicare so that everyone gets it. Like universal healthcare, that's fine, we have a conversation about that, but they're not interchangeable, they are different things.
So Yang is wrong in 3 different parts there. So first of all, there is a bill called Medicare for all, it's Bernie's bill, it's in the title. So just flat out wrong. Number 2, there is a thing called Medicare for all, a phenomenon, an idea that is not ubiquitous. So this is the same thing Klobuchar says. Well, I kind of like Obamacare. Does that count? Yeah, I'm for Medicare for all. No, that doesn't count. That's not Medicare for all. So that leads to point number 3, which is why isn't it Medicare for all? Why is it important that Medicare for all means something rather than just vague, well, I'd like to get more people health care eventually, right? Because Medicare for all removes premiums, copays, and deductibles, completely changes the system. If you have a public option, which Yang doesn't even have, but if you had a public option that a lot of the corporate Democrats want, it doesn't remove copays, premiums, and deductibles. You still have to pay that to the government. So it doesn't really change the system. All it does is it creates the government as another insurance provider with all of the same problems of copays, premiums, deductibles, bankrupting you. And if you can't pay those things, and you get cancer, you die. So it doesn't fundamentally change the system. Medicare for all fundamentally changes the system, and there is no like, well, I mean, if I increase Medicare a little bit, or I lower the retirement age a little bit, or I have a kind of a public option somewhere, that doesn't get you on the road to Medicare for all. It just doesn't. That's just a giant lie that the conservative Democrats and the corporate media has been saying all along, and they obscure the details so you don't realize that it's a lie. So when I see an outsider like Andrew Yang now aiding and abetting that, oh, don't do that. For God's sake, we like you, don't do that. It's not correct, and it's the wrong path for a campaign like the one he was running. Thanks for watching the Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR, so those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.